was it NFP? Is that the acronym?
NFPA.
What does that stand for?
National Fire Protection Association.
So they have standards for the equipment that
They have standards for everything. Anything you can possibly think of. They thought, we have free time. Let's make a standard.
Okay, it's government, I guess.
I don't know if it's government. It's firefighters that had too much free time.
Yeah. Okay. So those standards, then, I'm sitting here thinking we're talking about a truck that's 2024 and a truck that's you said 1994, 30 years.
Yep.
So how does that truck meet the standards?
Okay, we're back. This is Chief, Capt, and Chap, and I don't know what episode it is. I can't keep up.
432 million.
Yeah, last time I gave the wrong episode numbers. I'm gonna quit trying to number them because I said the wrong one.
Well, then you feel bad because you're watching them out of sequence. If you just don't tell them, they'll be like, I haven't seen this one yet.
It's the one you haven't seen. It's listed on there anyway. So, hey, you guys, be sure to follow us at Chief, Capt, and Chap, chief.cap.chap@gmail.com. We've replaced our Cap with Captain Zach Haskin yet again. He's back with us. And we have Chaplain Jason Davis with us again. He's been gone for a couple of weeks. He's back.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, what'd you say I was doing?
Where'd you go?
I said you were lollygagging.
Lollygagging, yeah. I'll show you my calendar.
Lollygagging.
Yeah. I told him he's lollygagging in the infield. He's lollygagging in the outfield. You know what that makes him?
Lollygagger.
It's not really a trick question, is it?
A lollygagger.
A lollygagger.
Yeah, so thanks for following us. We appreciate that. We're just trying to get information out to the community, and today we are going to talk about the new fire truck. And Josh Golightly and Austin Winchester have teamed up together and got us some good video of the fire truck. Josh is going to incorporate it in some place in this video. I'm going to leave that up to him.
Probably
maybe like right here.
Yeah, maybe like right here or so. No, don't do that. Just whenever, But man, it's a good looking fire truck, and gosh, I'm trying to think when we started the whole process. It's custom built E1 Cyclone class rescue pumper. Is that right?
Go with that.
Yeah.
Nobody will know the difference.
Nobody. It's red. It's a red fire truck. Yeah, but not a ladder truck. Not a platform truck, but it's a pumper, rescue pumper. So it's a good looking truck, and it's custom built. We sent some guys to E1. I was among them. That's the first time I ever done that. It was very interesting, and we're going to talk about that today and kind of maybe show everybody video of it and see what it looks like, and maybe talk about the community push-in ceremony for the truck to get it officially inserted into service, which is not right now. We're still working on that. So lots of stuff we got to do before we put it in service. So so when did we start that? When did we start that process? Can you remember?
Man, I want to say that was like 2 or 3 years ago.
I want to say it was like August of 22. Does that sound right?
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
It's been so long and so many other things have happened that I was like, I didn't bookmark that date, but I know in general for a long time it's been back ordered for about 2 years. I mean, we went down and did the spec out on it, and they didn't even start building it for another year. So
yeah, because they have a whole queue of. You see what I did there?
Q
is a siren.
Oh, that's beautiful. Love that.
There's a fire pun for you.
So
fire pun fun.
So
is what
subtle.
That is. Yeah. So there's a whole list of people trying to get fire trucks built there near Orlando. I'm trying to think the name of the city. Ocala, that's it. Yeah. And it's an awesome facility they got there where you get to see the different steps where they build fire trucks. Go through all that. They got fire trucks that they're in the process of building, and you get to see all the different types of trucks that they're building there. And it's a great place. I mean, it's pretty cool.
It's really interesting because I don't know other manufacturers, but the way they've got it separated in different buildings, like you think of like an assembly plant for cars or something like that. You start at one side and then you work your way down. and then it's done. Versus here, it's like, yeah, we're going to go here, but no, then we're going to move it all the way to the other side of the complex in a completely different building, and we're going to work on it over there. And then when we're done with that, we're going to move it across town for something else, and then it's going to come back. It's like I said, depending on the truck, it moves around in weird.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. So take us back. So you say we started in 2022. You think?
Yeah, we'll go with 2022.
So with the fleet of fire trucks, what does it look like to get to a place where it's time to start that process of looking for new equipment and considering the fleet that you manage now? What does that process look like to get to where you go, okay, in 2022, we started the process?
You mean like, what did it look like in 22 that we needed to get?
Like, what did it look like to get to the place where we need a new fire truck and need a new piece of equipment, and we start the process of getting it made?
So really, a lot of that comes into just looking at the age of the fleet in general. Our newest trucks behind this one were from 2015. So we haven't had a new truck in 10 years, even though for a lot of us, we're sitting there thinking, well, those trucks can't be that old. We just got them. But now you put it on a calendar and you're like, oh, crap, those things are 10 years old. And the one before it was from 07.
I think that's right.
Engine one's in 07.
I think it's 07.
And then,
of course, the lifespan, to NFPA standards is
standards say give you about 20 years, but I mean, we go beyond standards. A lot of places do.
Yeah.
But then you look at like ladder 1 and ladder 2, they were 2001 maybe, and then the smallest engine that we have, which is engine 4, is a 94.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And
still use it.
Yeah, we still use it. We're getting ready to give it to the school to use for their program, their fire program that they're starting up. But the it's really interesting. I was talking to Chief earlier about it. You look at the engine 4 that's a 94, and you look at the new truck, which is a 24, and just the huge size difference. Huge size difference there. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's quite a bit bigger. I mean, I think it's a little bit bigger than engine 1 that we have right now.
So we parked them side by side. The height difference is negligible. It's just about maybe 3 inches taller, but bumper to bumper, you're only talking about one bumper length.
Yeah.
In length, and especially when you consider what all we have on this new truck versus engine 1.
Yeah. So you talked about that. What was it? NFP? Is that the
acronym?
NFPA.
So what does that stand for?
National Fire Protection Association.
So they have standards for the equipment that
they have standards for everything. Anything you can possibly think of. They thought, we have free time. Let's make a standard.
Okay. It's government, I guess.
I don't know if it's government. It's firefighters that had too much free time.
Yeah. Okay. So those standards then, I mean, I'm sitting here thinking we're talking about a truck that's 2024 and a truck that's, you said 1994, 30 years?
Yep.
So how does that truck meet the standards?
So
I mean, is it like
the bare minimum standards that they have to have is obviously the pump on it has to be able to pass a test every year. The ladders on it have to be able to pass a test every year. So as long as those are still passing their test, still a good truck. They just recommend changing those because you think so I don't know what the standard is off the top of my head, but this truck has a 2000 GPM truck. The standard before that required the truck to have, I want to say like a 1,500 GPM truck.
Gallons per
minute.
Okay.
It'll pump 1,500 gallons per minute versus like engine 4 probably was only required to pump at, call it 1,200 gallons per minute. And like I said, those numbers just off the top of my head, they're probably not 100% accurate. Right. But it's one of those things where as those standards come up, trucks improve because we're needing more water on fires now. But like I said, as long as the trucks pass the tests, they're good to go.
Yeah, one of the things come into play there is like the maintenance cost that you put in on like engine 4, and we noticed that started increasing more and more. We were putting more money into it, and it just kind of like anything you do at your house, or if you have an old car at your house, when you're putting so much money into it, at some point you're like, it's probably better we just replace this and update the fleet instead of keep dumping more money into an old vehicle.
Was it right before we finally got into the real build of this truck, Engine 4 specifically, we dumped like $8,000 into it just to keep it running, because if we didn't, we'd be out of truck completely, and we would be off in other numbers. But the truck itself isn't worth, but maybe even with all the improvements we would put on it, maybe $10,000.
Really?
So,
yeah.
So what are some of the advancements? And I'm asking this out of I was watching a show the other day. It was a documentary or something, and there was a fire. They were responding to the fire, and the guys were riding on the outside of the fire truck. It was the old school looking, had the ladder on the side of the truck.
You remember those days, right?
That's probably against NFPA standards.
So obviously you can.
I do not remember.
I did not get to do that.
You can look at those types of fire trucks from back in the day, and then look at this truck that's in 2024. And obviously there's better technology and those types of things. What are some of those technologies that go into this new build and the newer trucks in the fleet that you have that help, that they didn't have, and you can't imagine what it was like without that?
So you have different little bitty things like lights. Turning the lights on. You use, this truck we built specifically kind of backwards in technology, so we didn't get all the latest and greatest because we thought of a maintenance aspect on it. This one you still have to sit there and flip all the switches to get lights to come on, but some of our other trucks you just push one button, all the lights come on.
Okay.
Then you have pressure regulators on the pumps, right? So this truck has kind of a electric pressure regulator, but it's still got a turn knob for the manual entry of it versus just a button. And but some of the other, like ladder 3, engine 3, have electronic pressure regulators where we can set it at 200 psi, and if you shut down 2 lines or something, it will drop the pressure just a little bit, but then it will maintain 200 psi on that one line you still have open, as opposed to this truck and like engine 1. When you shut those 2 lines down, if you don't have the pressure regulator set, you have to go back and manually adjust those. So, but like I said, we didn't honestly put as much technology as we could into this. Looking at maintenance, we're 2 hours away from our closest maintenance facility for that. So if anything goes wrong, it's not like we can fix it on scene. We got to wait, a day for them to get here, half a day to look at it, and then probably another day for them to actually fix it.
So you have maintenance people that it's outside of like a city garage and stuff like that have to work on the fleet.
Yeah, if it's something that like myself or James or a handful of other people can't fix right on board, we'll have to call Banner, which is our service company for that, and they would come down, look at it. If they can fix it, they'll fix it. If not, then truck goes 2 hours north and we're out of truck.
Wow.
Yeah, these trucks nowadays are so expensive. I mean,
everything's expensive on them, man. We replaced just the rear brakes on engine 3 the other day, and that was like $7,000.
Wow,
just for brakes,
which are pretty important.
Yeah, you need those. Need those.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it's a good thing about this one is that we got that ARPA grant. The city got ARPA grant and divided that up into 3 different areas of the city. Let's say they did streets, parks, and us. So, and that's what's covering the cost of this pumper. Right, is that ARPA grant? So that's good for local taxpayers here. So
yeah, and the good thing about it is it did cost almost right at $1 million for this truck, which sounds like a lot, but whenever you think the average price of a truck that's not being custom built is still $800,000, I think we did pretty good. But like I said, we probably cut some corners with the price by going backwards on technology a little bit. Granted, all that technology is still kind of there. It's just not at our fingertips.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's more, like, for example, you see it with tractors now. Service technicians can go out and they don't really have to plug into the vehicle. They can do it from their facility. Banner can do it from their facility. There's an antenna on the truck that tells them what's wrong with the truck. So that kind of helps out with some of that. Instead of having to send a tech down and be like, oh, well, plug it in the computer to it. They can just pick the computer up from up there.
Yeah.
So what other things like that is this truck going to be better for you guys? What are the things that, I guess, the problems that this truck is going to solve?
I don't know.
Well, one thing, Engine 4, I don't think has any cameras on it at all. This one has some cameras on it.
Yeah, the Engine 4 has almost nothing technology-wise on it. This one, though, it's got a really nice backup camera, which isn't obviously new technology, but for us, most of our backup cameras were third-party installed. But this one has one built into it. It's got side cameras so that whenever we're making a left or a right turn, it will pick up that whole lane to either side of you, so you're not pulling into somebody or something like that.
So safety-wise, that's a big plus.
There's a lot of good safety features on this truck, and like I said, it's really kind of a slow progression. Like I said, if you go from Engine 4 to Engine 1, you go from no cameras to cameras versus Engine 1 to now Engine 2. It's going from some cameras to a lot of cameras.
Yeah.
So it's just slow build progression in technology.
What about technically or tactically, I guess would be the key word. What is this truck going to do or offer tactically that you don't have now?
Well, I think one of the biggest things that we like about it when we built it with a mid-mount pump so that it basically creates a catwalk across the center of the vehicle.
Okay.
So that we can see what's going on scene no matter where we're at versus Engine 1. If I parked on the wrong side of the street, I had a truck between me and the house. I couldn't see anything if I'm the guy running the pump. Sometimes it's important, sometimes it's not. But a lot of times it's really helpful to be like, okay, hey, they look like they're having a problem. That line's jumping this or that. Why is that line jumping? And it gives us a little bit of insight from the pumper.
It's pretty important, obviously, I'm stating the obvious, to make sure you have the right pressure on the hose that are deployed there, because if you get too little, firefighters are not getting water. Too much, they can't hardly handle the hose because it's just so much pressure.
Right. We get a bunch of people that are smaller than me, and they don't hold the hose very well. At 125 PSI, they look like the little rascals out there just
Oh, that's okay. So and you mentioned somebody running the pump. So when you staff a truck like this, what are the positions? And I ask that because I think a lot of people may not know that it's not just everybody just goes and jumps on a truck, and when we get there, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You're trained, right? They're trained in specific areas.
Well, really, they probably are rock, paper, scissoring that on the way down the road. They're like, okay, who's doing this? No, that's a joke.
Just kidding.
No, every day at the beginning of the shift, they pick out who's driving and then who the two firefighters in the rear are. And then we always have a supervisor up front. It's sitting in the captain's seat. But like I said, that's those three positions, the driver and the two firefighters, they pick those out at the beginning of every shift. And so the person driving is the person that's going to run the pump. He's going to pull tools off the truck. He's going to pull ladders off the truck, whatever you need from that truck. That truck's his responsibility. So,
he is the engine operator.
Yep, he is the engine operator.
Okay. Gotcha. So how does everybody have to be trained then? Like in this new truck that's coming, will there be like everybody that's a firefighter gets trained on operating specific parts of this truck, or how does that work?
We've been trying to build that into our program in general, is making sure that anybody that's driving a truck, because we do get a lot of new hires that have never had any experience driving a truck, and it's a big shock going from your Chevy Malibu to a to a big old fire truck. And so it's kind of scary when you think about it. Like, we have kids that have literally, the only thing they ever drove was their grocery getter car. And they're like, I've never drove a pickup truck. It's like, but you're going to give me $1 million fire truck to drive. And it's like, yes. But we go through a good program with that, and we teach them. We'll take them out to like the complex in what we consider a safe zone, and we'll let them drive around the parking lot for a minute to understand how the vehicle turns. Then we'll take them, let them drive around the roads on the complex, build their confidence up.
Usually when nobody's out there.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't need any extra obstacles, you know.
We avoid light poles. But the
we should.
We should avoid light poles.
Avoid light poles. But like specifically, we make sure everybody that will be driving this truck, new truck, will log 5 hours of drive time before they get to drive it in service, just because the first time they drive it shouldn't be going to an emergency. First time they drive it should be in a planned route.
Yeah, Engine 4 was the pumper that I started on and predominantly pumped when I was the engine operator in '98. And you talk about that was pretty stressful to me, being 24 years of age, new to that truck, and going to a house fire. The house is on fire. It's a bad scenario. Everybody's like amped up, and you are responsible to get water to all these different people. You got the chief there, captains are there, and they're wanting this stuff done right now. And it's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, why didn't you not have that done already?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, you feel that responsibility. It's like, it's very intense.
Yeah, so as somebody who listens to the radio traffic when that's going on, you know, I kind of feel that tension that you're talking about when it's like, give us the water, give us the water. You know, right. I mean, that's a pretty popular phrase in the radio traffic.
It's a lot of just inexperience, and it's not a bad thing for inexperience. Everybody's got to get experience somehow. But yeah, you take a 24-year-old kid who's been on the job for 6 months, you know, and just because of our turnover, you know, we have to put them on a truck and be like, okay, congratulations, everybody else's life is in your hands. It's intimidating. You know, I remember the first time I drove a truck and had to pump at a fire scene. I was like, man, I hope I don't mess this up. Yeah. And I think I did okay. It was until about like 3 or 4 fires later that I did mess it up, and it was like, oh, dang. You know, well, but I mean, you talk about.
Is that what the captain said? He was like, oh, dang.
Yeah, dang. That's exactly what happened. You know, like me and Jimmy Harrell were talking about it one night, and I drove Engine 3 probably hundreds of hours, and 3 o'clock in the morning we get a fire over in Crowder, and he gets out and he's doing whatever he's doing, and I'm sitting there trying to get this truck started up, and I could not get water into that truck or out of that truck to save my life. And I was like, Jimmy, I'm like, what am I doing wrong here? He's like, well, I don't know. I said, so we went back through it, and I forgot to pull the parking brake. Parking brake's not set. It won't give you water.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, because they just feel like, well, that fire truck has water on it, which may be 1,000 gallons or something like that, depending on the fire truck. But I mean, you're talking, if you run a couple lines out there, and I mean, how fast will that water go at 1,000 gallons?
One line, maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah, it goes fast.
And that's on Engine 3 because it has 1,000 gallons. This new truck only has specifically 630 gallons.
Yeah.
I don't know why the 30. It's just the way the tank is. But, yeah, so you're talking 6 minutes worth of water.
Yeah. Which is why those hydrants are so important.
Yes.
Yeah, so, yeah, and that adds a lot of extra stress because you got to get that 5-inch line hooked up to the intake, you know, and get the water to that pump because your tank is not going to last any time. You just don't even count on it, you know.
Yeah, that water is really great, like in town, for you to get kind of a quick knockdown on something. But if you're out there for any length of time, 6 minutes is gone faster than you can think.
Maybe a dumpster fire or a car fire or something like that. But you really need.
Yeah, that's if you're running hand lines. Deck gunner, master stream device, you're talking 3 minutes.
Yeah.
if that really at 1,500 gallons per minute on a pump, and you're running 600 gallons, you're at a minute and a half.
So that gives somebody, whoever's responsible for getting water to that truck, that, I guess, safety net to do that. 3 minutes, 4 minutes to get water from the hydrant to the truck.
Yeah, it's not much of a safety net. It's really just, like I said, it's there for hopefully you can get a quick knockdown or at least get it pushed back down far enough that you buy yourself some time. But man, it's hard.
Yeah. So 2022, you make contact and decide this is what we want to go with the fire truck. So now between that time and now the completion of the fire truck, how often were you guys talking to them as they built it? They were calling and asking questions. What was that process like?
It was pretty kind of slow in the scheme of things. Like they called us and they said, hey, or we called them and said, hey, we want to build a truck. They said, okay, what do you give us kind of what you're looking for? They sent us some plans. We looked at some stuff, different options and whatnot. Because, I mean, you can go – this is like a AR on wheels. You can put whatever you want on it, and they will make it happen. If you want a longer cab, they'll put a longer cab. If you want a shorter cab, they'll put a shorter cab. If you want a two-door cab, they'll put a two-door cab on it. Just the same thing with the pump. You can have a pump on the side of the truck where you can't see the other side. You can have the catwalk. You can have a pump on the rear of the bumper of the truck if you want it, and they'll put it back there. But like I said, it's just, and then we had to go through and pick out where we wanted compartments, cabinets, everything like that, and kind of give them like a crayon version of how we want this truck, and then they send it back, and you're like, holy cow, that looks way better than my crayons.
That's a pretty intense process. I mean, we sat there for hours going through that.
And it's like, it's not like a regular spec sheet of, something you buy off Amazon where you got about 10 lines worth of stuff. It is every bit of 90 pages of 12-point font of compartment number 1 has, a height of 36 inches, 24 inches deep, has 3 shelves, and it's not just that. Then it gets into what color lights do you want? How many lights do you want? Where do you want to put the lights?
I will say, you guys, because I mean, that's really not my area. I've done a little bit of that, but at 27 years, I think I've spent a little over 2 in fire divisions, if that tells you anything. So, but I remember sitting there through that process that you guys, because we took several people over there, already had in mind exactly what was needed for this truck, and I thought that was really good that you guys had that. Y'all had that pretty much figured out. Just relaying that information and conveying it to the design engineers and everything. And some of that stuff, like, where they say, hey, we can't do that, but we could do this, and that process. But I thought it went really good, even though it is a long and in-depth process.
Yeah, that first trip down to Ocala was a long day of, like, you just wanted to spoon your brain out real quick.
Right.
It was horrible. But at the same time, it was like, man, this is really cool. This is happening. We're actually getting another fire truck.
Yeah. So. I like the process of going through that and seeing it on paper, and then when we went back down there and actually seeing the truck come to fruition, I mean, that was something else. That was pretty neat. It
was really cool, especially once they actually got into the build of the truck, when they would send us little updates, little bitty pictures, be like, here's your cab with no paint and no wheels. It's just a cab. And it's like, oh, that's really cool. And then, like, 2 weeks later, you get another piece and another piece. And it's like a really, really, really slow time lapse. And then all of a sudden you're there and you're like, holy cow, that looks amazing. Does not look like what Homer Simpson drew whenever he made his own car.
And so then it gets to completion, and they deliver it. You have to go get it.
So they took it from Ocala to Banner, which is up in St. Louis. Banner did a couple extra things that we requested. For example, the turntable in the rear passenger compartment for holding extrication tools. Rather than having them do it in Ocala, they did it in Banner. Saved us a little bit of money, saved a little bit of time. But then once everything was done, we went up there, double-checked it again, and we drove it back down here.
And so we got that, I'm trying to think, was it 2 weeks ago? or?
Yes, go with that.
Okay, so probably around the first
beginning
week
of
of May.
Yeah.
First week of May.
So, yeah, we drove it back down, and it always sucks driving a fire truck because any length, like in town, it's great. You go normal speed,
right?
You don't think about it, but those trucks are governed at 68 miles an hour. Like they will not go faster than 68 unless they're downhill. Downhill, maybe 70.
Yeah.
But 68 miles an hour in a truck the whole way, and then being in the car following them. Yeah. I was like, man, this is boring.
That's a pretty wide truck, too. It takes up that lane, quite a bit of that lane.
Yeah, it's a little bit wider than any of the other trucks that we have. It's not taller by any means. I think, it is the tallest at this point, but it's definitely, then you have to worry about top-heavy issues. So not yet because we don't have all the tools in it. But
so not only do we have water on that tank, but we got two types of foam.
We have two foam tanks. We have an A tank and a B tank. One holds 100 gallons, one holds 50 gallons, and respectively, we're going to put one type of foam that's meant to deal with Class A fires and one type of foam that's meant to be with Class B fires.
What's the difference?
Class A is wood products. Cellulose-based products, and B would be, we explain it as boiling liquid. So any kind of liquid that can boil, such as gasoline, diesel, oil, flammable liquid fires. So,
okay.
So how does the foam help that for people who aren't fire
oriented? Well, the Class A foam that we're going to use on there is a product called F500. And it's an encapsulating agent. So if you have your molecule of whatever is burning, that F500 comes in and grabs it and surrounds it so that it can't be burnt. And then, like with the Class B foam, it would be it basically makes bubbles just like you would put in the bubble bath or something. You get bubbles across the top of the water. This creates bubbles across the top of oil, diesel, gasoline, so that those fumes can't come up and catch fire, because that's what's actually burning is the
just creates
fumes.
A blanket over it. Yeah, it's really helpful. So the Class A foams or that the 500 is basically you can use less water with that, and so have a little less property damage maybe in the home.
Yep. Yeah. The Class B foam's hard to clean up. We got told the last time when we had to use it on a vehicle fire that they cleaned up more of our mess than we would have if we'd have just let it burn. Yeah, but we can't let it burn. Gotta burn it out. Versus the F500, it's undetectable in the environment later on once it sits for a while, so it goes away. But yeah, it definitely uses a lot less water. We put a whole vehicle fire out one day with maybe quarter tank of water.
So what do you think is the throughout this whole process, what was the most difficult part of it, the most challenging part of that build process?
I think trying to get the features we wanted and still stay in our price range.
Because they'll do whatever you want as long as you got the money to pay for it.
Yeah, if you want to drop $2 million, they'll make you a $2 million truck. You can have every bell and whistle and a coffee maker on it. But like I said, for us, we tried to stay practical with it and not put all the technology that we could have on there. Just because we knew the guys we were dealing with, some of them would have problems understanding what's going on with that electronics. But like I said, staying inside that budget was probably one of the.
And some of that stuff is nice, but it, like you said earlier, I mean, it can also fail. And so, I mean, like my old Jeep has got the roll up windows, and I've never had a problem with them.
Yeah,
you know
well,
what I mean?
And just today, one of the guys were like, paid $1 million, and we got roll up windows. I'm like, yes, sir. Yes, you did.
So with that, what's something on this truck that, and maybe there's not one thing, but I always think of like there's one thing that stands out, like this truck has this that we've never had before. You know what I mean? What is that thing that you're really excited about on this particular truck?
Lots of room in the back seat. There is a lot of room in the back seat.
Yeah, it's definitely a bigger cab. I mean, it's nice.
I think that was one of the things that we looked at when we were building it. We wanted a bigger area in the back seat because right now, even with engine one, and I'd say engine one is probably the more roomy of the trucks that we have, you really can only get like 2 people back there. And then, which on a day-to-day basis isn't a big deal, but, we get winter storms and stuff like that, and we have to start shoving extra people on the truck or stuff like that. There's no room for them to sit. There's no room for
just
them
to warm people up.
Yeah. Especially in the wintertime when you need to be like, hey, guys, take a break, go sit in the truck and be warm. Before you know it, you got 6 guys sitting on each other's laps.
Yeah.
Versus here.
To me, that's the worst, is like having to fight a fire.
And sit on another guy's lap.
Well, that's pretty bad. It's not what I was talking about. I may have to reorganize my prioritization on that. So that would be number 1. Number 2 would be fighting the fire when it's just freezing cold outside.
It is. It sucks because, in the summertime, you can usually kind of cool down. You can take your jacket off. You can, dump a bottle of water. But, man, in the wintertime when you're cold, when your jacket is soaked with water, you're sweating on the inside. There's no way to get warm. So getting in the back of the truck's great. And like I said, that truck's set up to carry 6 people just in the back seat. And 4 people can very comfortably just sit back there, warm up, and stretch out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, some of those fires, especially when they get out of hand and they turn into like a surround and drown, and you're sitting there operating a water monitor that's just spraying water on the house fire that's already kind of gotten away from everybody.
Right.
And you're just freezing. Your hands are cold. Your jacket's got ice on it because you're getting misted with water in that inclement weather. I mean, it's downright miserable.
Yeah. Well, and then also the summertime will be really nice because it's going to have air conditioning. And I know I don't think the air conditioner works really great in engine 4, if it works at all. I don't think it does. Engine 1, up until the last like 2 or 3 years, every year we'd have to send it off to get it fixed, to get the air conditioner work on, and it would work for maybe 3 months, but not the 3 months of the hot part of the summer. The 3 months of when it was like, man, we really don't need it. We just roll the windows down. But then whenever it's like really hot, it's like, man, it'd be great if the air conditioner worked, and you'd send it off, and there's always some kind of problem with it. But it'll be nice to, at least for a couple of years, to have a truck that the air conditioner works in, because it's the same thing. You get out there, 90-degree day, 90% humidity, and it is just awful.
So we have ladder truck, obviously, a couple of pumpers, platform truck. Now this truck, tell everybody exactly what this truck is going to be used for.
So this is going to be our frontline engine. This is going to be every call that we have in town, this truck will be there. It'll be for everything from structure fire to an alarm call to a vehicle accident. It's going to be equipped with anything that we need to do on a daily basis, and it's right out the gate.
And when we get the fire station built that we're working through the process on, this truck will be at that main fire station 2, which is right in the middle of town. And so if you have a fire on the west end, that crew will go to the west. If it's on the east end, they'll go to the east. But that's the firefighting crew. And we have fire stations at Station 1 on Northwest Street and Station 3 on Abels, but we don't have a firefighting crew there. We just got engine operators there.
Yep, we've just got engine operators. Now, I will say the good thing is we've done over the years is most of our trucks are similar setup, so that if one truck goes down, we can move it around, and it will pick up the slack. So this truck, it's kind of special because it's new, but at the same time, it's going to have the same equipment that Engine 1 currently does. It's going to have a lot of the same equipment that Ladder 3 or Tower 1 will have.
So Engine 4, which we're going to semi-retire, is at Station 3. And so Engine 1 that we're using as our main fire truck right now, because we're going to transfer or move over to this engine, the new one, Engine 2. Engine 1 is going to go out to Station 3 to take the place of Engine 4, if everybody can keep up with this. So, and then Engine 4, which is semi-retired, will go out to the SCTC and talk about that a little bit.
So the SCTC is their class. They're doing, I think this year they started off with EMS, and they're giving high school students the opportunity to be able to get into these jobs without having to do it after high school. So,
right.
Which
year, works out for us.
It works great, yeah. So they did EMS this year, and then because it's a new program, this coming school year, I guess that would be the 25-26
yeah, that's right.
school year, should be their first time doing an actual fire class.
Yeah.
So they'll be on their second year of EMS, first year of fire, and they're going to do the exact same training that we do with our guys when we hire them brand new. They're going to go through Fire 1, Fire 2, Hazmat. This truck is going to help them because it gives them a hands-on prop. You know, if I say, hey, go grab a tool off a truck and you've never grabbed a tool off a truck, then you're like, oh, what tool? Which truck? Now they actually get that thing. Plus, I mean, it's not 100% necessary, but it's really nice. You know, especially if you're having to learn how to repack hose on a truck. You have a truck to repack it on.
They're getting the full experience there.
Yeah. You know, and it really makes it better because, like I said, I remember when I went through Fire 1 and 2, we did a lot of stuff on trucks, but we did a lot of stuff off trucks. And thinking back, it would have been really nice to be able to have a truck to understand like a forward lay or a reverse lay. You know, where you go from the hydrant to the house fire is a forward lay versus where you stop at the house fire, unload the truck, and then drive it to the hydrant is a reverse lay. And not having that truck to actually visualize that is
I remember when we were in the fire academy in, I guess it was 98, 99, that we actually practiced the hose lays on the ground or on the bay floor.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And like I said, part of that is we do it that way because nobody wants to take all that stuff off the truck and then put it back on when we can just go get a spare section and do it on the floor. Yeah. But, you know, these kids are in school. That's what they're.
Yeah, and we don't want to take it off our truck because we might need it any moment. Yeah. We don't know when the fire's happening, so we don't want to take it out of service. Just do a little training like that. So, but they'll actually they're not going to be fighting fire.
Right.
I mean,
so whatever they pull off, if they're like, oh, we didn't look at the time, and you know it's time for school to be done or class to be done that day, then they can just kind of push it off to the side and pick it back up tomorrow. And it'll be really nice also because they're still allowing us to have good access to that truck. So say, for whatever weird reason, tornado comes through and takes out a station and we're down a truck. We can go pick up that truck, take it to where we need it, and use it.
Yeah, and Chad King there at the SCTC, he's I guess he's the principal over SCTC, and he's doing a really good job there. We need to get Eric in here and Eric Dunn. He's going to do that fire science for the school. But I don't know if people realize how important that is for us because instead of us hiring somebody and have to do all this training, they already got the training, so we can put them to work right away.
Right.
You know, we're trying to figure out a plan for the end of 26 after they get this fire science certification that we can hire them in at 18 years of age, and then maybe later send them to the police academy. They already have that done, so that, and we'll get to hire them earlier once we get the details worked out. So that kind of creates a pipeline for employees, which we desperately need. So.
Yeah, that's really cool with that partnership with the school. I mean, that's just another example of I love the partnerships that happen in our community.
Yeah,
and you know. You have the city stuff and schools and nonprofits and all that stuff that partner together that do things like that you don't even know is happening in the background, but really has a huge impact. I mean, you think about that impact that has on that 18-year-old that is he wants to be a firefighter. He wants to be in public safety, and in his mind before this type of partnership, he's got to finish high school and then try to get hired. And whereas while he's doing his schooling in high school, he can get that training and come out and is actually something that public safety would like to have. I mean, we want that to be there where we have people to choose from, to hire from, instead of, you know what I mean? I think that's a really cool benefit to see that taking place. And then that also impacts the community because it makes us safer. I mean, just at the basic foundational idea, it makes us a safer community.
Oh, yeah. And it's not just Sikeston. I mean, they bust these kids in from all over the region, to give them that training too. So, but I really like it. And I think we can make some adjustments because we wouldn't hire you until you're 21 because of the police aspect.
Right.
And so now if we can make some adjustments where we can hire firefighters and then slowly transition them to patrol when they become of age, 21, or 20, 21, to get that police academy training, it would really work out for us. And that's the hometown people is who we want because, you hire somebody that lives in Perryville or something like that, chances are, what I've seen over my career, people generally gravitate back toward home after a few years, And of course, they have the relationships in the community already. That's huge in law enforcement and even in firefighting. It's just they know the area of town. They know, there's just a lot of benefit to it.
Yeah. So in that mindset, then with if they came out and they'd done their fire school and they're ready, they're hired by you guys in the fire area, if that becomes a possibility, and now they're working 3 years in the department. So even when they leave fire and come to go to the academy and start their FTO after academy and all that stuff, and now with the new academy here, I mean, you have guys that, again, I just think of the safety aspect. As someone who lives in Sikeston and quite honestly depends on public safety, right, for our safety and the safety of my family, that's just awesome to think they're going to be confident. They have 3 years, so they're not a new person going into the academy. So, they're not a rookie per se.
Right, yeah.
I just, that's a really cool thing that could be happening.
Well, I think probably one of the better things about that, especially when you hire some of these younger people, is you don't get bad habits from them. You get to create their bad habits.
Good habits. Create good habits.
You get to create good habits. That's what it was. And it really is. It's nice because, I'll use myself as an example. I did this job for probably 6 or 7 years before I came here. So everything I knew was referenced on actual experience elsewhere. It wasn't the way they wanted it done here. So it took a little bit of a curve and time for me to learn how to do it the right way for Sikeston versus when we get them young like that, right out of school or right out of whatever education they're coming off of, we get the opportunity to be like, okay, you know how to do this. Let's show you how to do it the rest of the way.
So do we have a date when this fire truck is going to be put in service? And
I'd say we're really close on having all the equipment put on it because when we get it, it's a blank slate. I mean, the inside, there's cabinets, there's nothing but shelves and metal. So we had to mount all the tools, everything from axes to making sure that things fit where they go. Because, if I put an axe here and then I want to put a shovel here, but it causes the door to not shut, then we have to readjust everything. But I'd say we should have all that stuff done by the end of this week. And then we'll probably spend another week or two just trying to make sure that everybody that's going to drive it can drive it. Granted, like I said, it's not much bigger than Engine 1, so it shouldn't be a huge learning curve, but trying to stick with the program of trying to get everybody about 5 hours of actual drive time before they start driving it in service.
So I guess that's another expense then that I didn't even think about till you just said that. So do you guys buy all new equipment to put on it?
No, we bought some new equipment because when we took Engine 4 more or less out of service, we have a list of stuff that we have to keep on it in order for it to be counted as a in-service truck. Even though we took it out of service, it's not going to be our everyday use truck, but we're going to keep it as what's considered a reserve pumper. So we had to keep certain stuff on there, but there was a lot of stuff on there that, like, we had 5 axes on there, and we only needed 2, so we took 3 of them off, left 2 of them on there. Those 3 got transferred to engine 2. When we take things off of engine 1 to put on engine 2, so it's not required for us to have cribbing. It's not required to have airbags, stuff like that. Airbags are what we use for lifting big, heavy stuff. So that stuff will get transferred over, but then we'll leave all the hose that's on engine 1 on engine 1. We'll leave all of the nozzles. We'll leave a handful of tools. Engine 1 will keep all its air packs, versus we took all the air packs off of engine 4, because if we need that truck, we can just put new ones back on there. But this truck will have a lot of used equipment. It's got some new equipment, but it's right now. So every day we do truck checks, and our truck checks are on electronic form now, and everybody complains. They're like, none of this stuff matches. I said, got to give it a couple weeks. I said, when we quit moving stuff around, we'll go back and redo the lists, and everything will be right. But
essentially, the engine operator, when he gets there in the morning, has to make sure everything is on that truck that's supposed to be on it. Because if you're missing a tool, he's responsible for it. You know, so you don't want to get to the fire scene and be missing your equipment. You know, so
like today,
that's what he's talking about. Truck checks, they do that every day.
Yeah,
like today, not calling the guy out or anything like that. The fan that we use takes 2 big DeWalt batteries, and they took it up to the front door to air out a house, and they're like, "Hey, there's no batteries." And he comes walking up like a couple minutes later. He's like, "Here's the batteries." he's like, I took those off this morning because I was charging them and forgot to put the other ones back on there. I'm like, good job.
Well, at least he told you.
Yeah. He was honest.
Yeah, as opposed to finding out tomorrow, I'll be like,
So having that reserve truck at the SCTC, that's going to help our ISO ratings. You want to talk about ISO a little bit?
I can. It should help our ISO a little bit. We did really good this year. I know I talked to you about it, that we were right on the fence of staying where we were versus going up, and we were able to go up, and it runs on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 kind of go like golf, where 10 is not good, 1 is best.
Know anything about that?
I'm on the 10 side, so
I get an 11. So we went from a 4 to a 3. So that was really helpful, and this will help keep us in that 3 instead of being on the fence of whether or not we go back down to a 4.
Yeah. So it's like insurance companies. It was one of the things they look at when they determine your homeowner's insurance and how much you pay.
It's ISO. What's that acronym stand for?
Insurance Services Organization.
I think that's right.
Okay.
Yeah. But so like just today, I had to send a letterhead to an insurance company. They wanted to know about a specific address in town for the new Saddle Ridge subdivision out there by Station 3. That whole field used to be outside of the city limits. Granted, the road was inside city limits. Everything else was on this side of the road was inside city limits, but that wasn't. So when they pulled it up on a map, it was still showing it as outside of city limits, and
which is right down the street from the fire station.
Literally, I mean, you could toss a baseball, not me. You could toss a baseball and probably hit one of those houses.
Yeah,
but it goes because it was the fire protection district versus the city. It goes from a 7 to a 3. So the road, essentially would have been 7, 3, and it's a matter of 100 feet.
And their insurance costs would be higher because of that.
Yeah. So like I said, by us keeping our ISO rating up to a 3, it keeps everybody else's insurance rates down.
Yeah. So moving up from 4 to a 3 is a pretty big deal. I mean, we've been 4, I don't know how long, a long time.
Yeah. I think we were lower than that, not just a couple of years ago.
Oh, is that right?
I'd have to look the numbers, but we've done really good the last. They rate us every 3 years, I think, and we've been bringing it up slowly. But like I said, this year, I was really down for a minute because the guy called me and he's like, "Hey," he said, "you guys are like 1 point away from being a 3," and most people wouldn't know that 1 point is. It doesn't sound like a lot. It is a lot, especially when they start breaking it down to, like, you can get 1/10 of a point for, having a reserve truck versus, so when you start adding up, we were so close, and I was like, man, it's just like 1 point. And the guy that does our stuff, we talked and looked at some other things and readjusted this and that and got it up to a 3. But it was like, thinking about next time, I'm like, man, I hope we can pull that off again and make everything work right. And then this will give us that bump where we'll be able to push it a little bit higher and stay in that 3. It'll take a lot of work to get to it too.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like exciting things. I mean, there are exciting things happen in the fire department aspect of DPS.
Yeah, it's been busy. I mean, lately. I mean, especially the fire station, this fire truck. I mean, all that work y'all were doing on the ISO and everything. I mean, we've had, of course, Captain Wheatley's now the sheriff. You came in as the new captain, done a great job. You got the academy and patrol, oddly enough, and patrol going. You did a good job there. But there's a lot of things happening. It's been really busy this spring, I've noticed.
Yeah, a lot of fire pages recently too.
Mm-hmm.
I was on vacation.
It's your fault.
Well, then it's your fault.
That's all my phone did all week, especially this weekend. It was like, oh, structure fire. Oh, they're having another structure fire. Oh, they had another structure fire. Oh, you're going to another call.
We have quite a bit. I mean, over the course of a year, I don't know if it's necessarily a lot, but it's just a lot of different reasons, But
it seems like, we'll go through months where we don't do anything. I mean, it's like, okay, we've literally cleaned the floor for the 15th time today. What else can we do? But then you have other months where it's like you just can't find free time at all because it's call to call to call.
Yeah, so it's seasonal. Their chimneys or they're turning their furnace on for the first time, and sometimes you'll get fire calls for that kind of stuff, chimney fires, if they're not getting that creosote cleaned out of there like they should.
About another month from now, when it starts to dry up, we could get in rain, we'll start hitting grass fires again, and that'll be fun and exciting and tiring. Those are wonderful.
Yeah, lots of those, that's for sure.
County Road 452.
Well, I think that's going to cover it for today. I mean, that's a good recap. I'm really excited about this truck. I think if you get a chance to see it, well, maybe you have seen it because Josh.
It was probably right here.
Yeah, it's probably covering my face, hopefully. But hey, we just want to thanks for breaking that down for us, Zach, and appreciate you guys following us on Chief, Cap, and Chap, and that's all we're going to have today. But send us an email at chief.cap.chap@gmail.com. Tell us what you think. We'd love to hear it. But until then,
always take the high road.
Take the high road, Zach.
Hey, buddy.